Imagine being told that you were free. Now imagine that the announcement was made hundreds of miles away. Imagine there were no smartphones, no television, no internet, and no one rushing to tell you. Imagine that 2.5 years passed before you ever heard the news. For thousands of enslaved African Americans living in Texas, that wasn't imagination. That was the harsh reality. Today, we're exploring the story of Juneteenth, a holiday that commemorates the day freedom finally arrived for the last large group of enslaved people in the United States. This is Receipts from the Past, and this is the story of Juneteenth. The story begins during the American Civil War. By 1863, the United States was divided. 11 southern states had left the Union and formed the Confederate States of America. The war had already claimed thousands of lives. On January 1, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. The proclamation declared that enslaved people living in Confederate-controlled territory were legally free. Today, many Americans think this proclamation instantly ended slavery. But in reality, it simply didn't end slavery instantly. Lincoln had declared freedom, but the federal government could only enforce that freedom where Union troops were present. In places controlled by Confederate forces, slavery continued. And nowhere in the country was that more true than in Texas. Texas occupied a unique position during the Civil War. It was geographically distant from many of the major battlefields. Union armies had difficulty reaching the state, and Confederate authorities maintained control for much of the war. As fighting intensified elsewhere, some slaveholders actually moved enslaved people into Texas. They viewed the state as a safe haven where slavery could continue despite Union advances. As a result, by the end of the Civil War, an estimated 250,000 enslaved African Americans remained in Texas. At long last, freedom had finally been declared. But freedom had not yet arrived. In April of 1865, Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. Many historians view this moment as the symbolic end of the Civil War. But communication moved slowly in the 19th century. News traveled by horse, ship, rail, and telegraph. Enforcement took a great deal of time. Military occupation also took time. And for those still enslaved in Texas, life continued much as it had before. Many long weeks passed by as the news traveled slowly. Then many more months followed before the word reached Texas. The devastating war was finally over, but many Texans either did not know, refused to accept it, or continued operating as if nothing had changed. Everything changed on June 19, 1865. On that day, Union Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, accompanied by approximately 2,000 federal troops. The soldiers were there to enforce federal authority. Soon after arriving, General Granger issued General Order No. 3. The order informed the people of Texas that all enslaved persons were free. It declared that there would be an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and enslaved people. For many African Americans in Texas, this was the first official confirmation that slavery had ended. Imagine hearing that the freedom promised years earlier was finally being enforced. Imagine the absolute shock that people felt, the profound relief that finally washed over them, the overwhelming joy of families being reunited, the profound disbelief at the news. Accounts from the period describe celebrations, prayers, singing, and emotional reunions. For countless families, June 19th marked the beginning of a new chapter. But freedom did not erase hardship. Formerly enslaved people faced enormous challenges. Many had no land, many had little money, many were separated from family members who had been sold away years earlier. Some left plantations immediately, others remained temporarily, working for wages or negotiating labor agreements. Many began searching for spouses, parents, children, and siblings from whom they had been separated. Freedom was a beginning, not an ending. The years that followed would bring new struggles, including black codes, racial violence, voter suppression, and eventually the system of segregation known as Jim Crow. Yet despite these obstacles, African Americans built schools, churches, businesses, and communities across Texas and the South. Juneteenth became a symbol not just of freedom gained, but of perseverance in the face of adversity. The following year, in 1866, African American communities began organizing annual celebrations to commemorate June 19th. These gatherings included music, prayer services, community meals, parades, and educational events. The celebrations served an important purpose. They preserved a history that many Americans ignored. In some cities, Black communities pooled money together to purchase land specifically for Juneteenth celebrations. One of the most famous examples was Emancipation Park in Houston, Texas. If you believe history deserves receipts, and you've ever asked what about the others, subscribe, like, and comment. On receipts, the tea is just getting hot and our teacups are never empty. And these are the receipts.